Good afternoon.
Hello, hello.
How's everybody doing?
Man, you guys made it, huh? All the stuff that's going on around the Soul Train cruise, and you guys actually made it to this interview. Thank you so much.
Welcome to All Access. This is a good day. I'm excited about what we're about to do.
Absolutely.
Are you?
I'm having a fabulous time, and I'm going to give you the honors of bringing out our guests.
I love it. This is a rare treat. I'm running with it.
I'm giving you an opportunity.
You're giving me an opportunity. Let's see how I do. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you love the Manhattans? How many of you love Gerald Alston? I'm going to raise my hand to both of those. Please keep your hands together for the Manhattans. Yes. This is right. Yes.
Listen,
Oh
did
my
anybody
goodness.
see Gerald Austin's earlier this morning? Was he unbelievable or what? I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. I mean, I'm serious. I mean, I actually had to wipe my eyes. I really did.
That's
I mean,
beautiful.
this guy is unbelievable. you
So,
know?
Tony, it seems that everyone else got a chance to see that but me. So, I'm going to have to ask you, what did I miss? What happened?
Well,
You know?
the gospel show this morning. First of all, the song that I sang, "My Soul Is Anchored in the Lord," that's one of my all-time favorite. And I've been studying this past week the book of Psalms. In fact, the verse 119, and it speaks about being true to God's word, and no matter what you have done in sin, if you believe in God and stick to his words, he'll show you the way out. And because he didn't come to hurt us, he came to save us. And a lot of times when we get ourselves in problems and we get in situations where we can't handle, and it seems bad to us, it's him teaching us a lesson how to get through it and how to go forward. But we have to stay in his word. And so today when Reverend Davis was talking and he started telling his story was exactly as mine.
Wow.
And it just, I got so full and I couldn't hardly sing when I first walked out there. But God gave me the strength to make it through. And that's what it was all about. My soul is anchored in the Lord.
Oh, how beautiful is
That
that?
is absolutely gorgeous.
That is beautiful.
I mean, it's funny that you felt the same thing I felt.
Wow.
And I'm sure they felt the same thing we felt.
Yeah.
So it was just picture perfect.
Yes,
you know?
it was.
It really
It
was
was.
picture perfect.
It was.
Got bright in here all of a sudden, didn't it?
You missed a whole lot today.
I missed a lot.
You really did.
And I see that you brought your partners with you today.
Yes.
How y'all doing?
Pretty good. We're having a blast. Absolute blast.
You know, normally we sit here and we talk only to Gerald Alston. So it's nice to be able to talk to the group.
Yes.
And we always love that you come back to the Soul Train cruise. What is it about this cruise that you love so much?
You know, it's fans. It's I'm going to say this, but I'm going to explain it, I guess. It's explanatory.
Come on with it.
It's a party, but it's relaxed. You know, and you get a chance to meet your fans and have breakfast with them or sit in the dining room and talk with them, you know, and we talk and they talk about the songs that we recorded or where they seen us last, will we be singing this song, and it gets as a chance with this cruise for our fans to know that we're people, you know, and that's what I love about it. I truly love about it. And no matter how many times we are seen on the ship as we walk around, when we get on that stage, it's like it's the first time. And our fans are so appreciative of it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is the best thing, Tony.
Yeah.
This is the best thing for our kind of music.
Absolutely.
Well, you know, I have to say that, I mean, as people talk to me and say, you know, you're doing a great job, I feel like I'm trying really hard to do a good job. But at the same time, I have to give credit to all those people who are working on this ship.
Oh, yes.
And all those staff members and all those folks that are speaking to acts, the engineers, the guys that handle the equipment. You know, it's a gathering of everybody working at the same time for the same thing. You know, at the same time, it's the spirit that goes on with Soul Train and the Soul Train crew. There's a spirit here. You know, so we appreciate you guys. And with that, I'd also want to ask the question individually.
Okay.
Gerald, we just know you so well, and I've read something just recently about you. They said they described your voice as something that they always want to hear. There's just something about your voice that people always want to hear, and I just want to know from the other members.
Yeah.
Are they following the same footsteps? Do they have that same spirit? Is that important for groups to work together? You know.
Definitely, I learned that a long time ago through Gerald and Blue. That you have to be together in order to make it a group. When I came in, Blue instilled that real hard in me, and that's how I follow. When Gerald sings, he gives me the strength to get up and do it. And then when I hear the fans are appreciative of what we're doing, I do it even harder.
Oh, yeah.
I make it even more. I mean, I'm up there sweating. I'm taking my shirt off. Want to kick my shoes off and say, yes, come on. Yeah. So, I mean, yes, it's a mainstay in the group. Yes.
You know, Blue used to always say to all of us in the group, I raised you. And he did. And we all learned so much from him. Gerald, myself, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
And these are some of the things he instilled in us. You're not bigger than the fans. You're just a person just like everybody else. And whenever we do a show and fans come up to us, we want them to know that we're just like you. We're people, we know, just like Gerald said, we walk the hallways and breakfast and we're willing to talk to people. We see a lot of entertainers who are sort of standoffish. We try not to be that way. We're real people.
You're never that way. And in fact, I mean, don't we all feel that we know him and he's almost like a family member? You bring that humility and that professionalism to the stage every time you hit it. I've always been so, enamored with how seamlessly you go from singing R&B very comfortably and very emotionally and just bringing it 100%. And then the same thing with gospel. It's as if it's the same thing. It's not like you have to change up, like, all right, this is R&B, Gerald, now this is gospel.
I started out singing gospel when I was about 4 or 5. And I sang gospel all my life. My father and his uncles and cousins, and his brother had a group called the Gospel Brothers. And my uncle, Johnny Fields, was one of the founding members of the 5 Blind Boys of Alabama. So I was always around gospel singing. And I grew up singing gospel, and when in 1970, I was offered a job to sing lead for the Soul Stirrers. And when I joined the group, what had happened, I was underage. So my mother had to sign my contract. And believe it or not, at the exact same time that I could have gone with the Soul Stirrers, she had signed my contract with the Manhattans.
Wow.
And but I never stopped singing gospel. Even I've done it in the shows. I bring God with me everywhere. Yeah.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's who you are.
Now, speaking of the Manhattans, where did that name, the Manhattans, come from?
Because I don't think they're New Yorkers.
Well, it actually started from the drink. And our logo was the cross cane and white gloves and top hat. And as we grew and began to mature in the business, we realized that wasn't a good association for what we were trying to do and what we want to relate to our fans and the young people. So we decided to to change the name, keep the name the Manhattans, but use the backdrop and the logo as Manhattan Island.
Was that ever confused with Manhattan Transfer?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Still.
Oh, yeah. Really?
I got to tell you the story. We played Vegas. We played the Silverbird for the first time. And the place was jam-packed. It was black and white. right? And so when we started singing, excuse me for saying it this way, y'all, but all the white people got to start walking out. So we found out that they thought it was the Manhattan Transfer. And by the third night, you couldn't make them leave. Nobody left. You know, but we were, I just said it to let you know that we were confused with Manhattan Transfer. And they didn't walk out because they didn't like us. They thought we were Manhattan Transfer.
Yeah. They thought they were in the wrong place.
Exactly. But once a few people stayed and heard us sing, and they must have told their buddies, because the next couple of nights, for a whole month, it was jam-packed, 2 shows a night.
I love it. I get it, too. They said this is good music. You know, we talk to a lot of different artists. I love doing this all access. And there are bands who stay together, who have been together for a long time, but it's difficult sometimes.
It is.
I mean, you've got all these different personalities working together toward one goal, but you're grown people with different personalities and different lives, different opinions. You've worked separately, you've worked with the group. What keeps you with the Manhattans?
What keeps me with the Manhattans is the camaraderie, you know, and learning how to live together with each other. Before the original group dispersed and passed away, we worked together. We had all had different opinions, but we all had the same goal. And we decided no matter what, we would work for that goal, and whichever direction was best for the group, whether I liked it or Blue liked it or Sonny or Kenny or Richard, it didn't matter. What was best for the Manhattans is what we did.
That's wonderful. You know, as you talk about that, you know, and you talk about loss and moving on, you know, individually, I kind of like to know, other groups have experienced that too, the Temptations, where there's, you know, only one member left, or there's maybe 2 members left, or whatever the case may be. How do you move on? How do you move on in life, and how do you move on in art?
It was very difficult because my whole young adult life I spent with the Manhattans, with the fellas. And Richard left. It's funny, he came to me, to all of us, and said, God has put me here to help make this group successful. He said, and once you get successful, I have to step away. 1976, Kiss and Say Goodbye, Richard left the group. He didn't want any residuals. He didn't want any money. We tried, so we ended up taking care of his family, giving his family money and taking care of his royalties, basically. And so we stayed together and we continued to work together, but the loss was very difficult because at the end of the day, even though we didn't really, the original members didn't come back, we stayed in touch. And what was really, really hard was that I spent the last week with Blue before he passed. But the hardest part was that Sonny passed December 3rd of 2014. Blue passed December 9th, 2014. And then Kenneth passed second or third week in January. Wow. Right behind each other. And they all passed from the same disease, cancer.
You guys want to answer that question as well?
Oh, it was absolutely rough. Just spending the last few days, a few shows with Blue, we sort of kind of, you know, we didn't want to accept it, but we had a feeling that he might be slipping away from us. And he would come right out and tell you, this is what's going to go down, and you guys do whatever you have to do to carry the torch, move forward. And we've all, and it just gave us that extra oomph to make sure we maintain this legacy. And along with, you know, Gerald told us, look, we're going to do everything we can to make sure we make them proud and we maintain and keep this thing going.
Yes, it was real hard on me. Still hard.
Oh, yeah.
He told me to keep doing what I was doing. He was proud of it, and make sure that I listened to Gerald, because he knew I was, you know, sometimes a hard head. So listen to Gerald and try your best to keep what we're doing, keep the legacy going. You know, pay attention. He said, but I'll be leaving soon. But he said, but we're going to keep this going, and I'll be with you always.
And he's with us every time we walk on that stage.
All the time.
All
Just
the
prior
time.
to going on stage, every time.
Yeah,
I look over my shoulder and say, come on, Blue.
yeah.
Every time. And when this guy gets up there and gets to singing, every time I almost have to turn my head because it brings tears to my eyes. It's like
You
he's
know,
right there on my side.
And I asked that question not to open up a wound that's painful. Is that when you have acts that come on and say the originals aren't there,
Yeah.
the music still lives.
Yes.
You know, and I'm amazed by it because sometimes I get caught up in like, well, you know, only one guy. There's only two guys. Are they going to be as strong as the originals?
Yeah.
And I've noticed that the message still breathes strong.
Oh, yes.
You know, and you know, it
I had-
speaks through you guys as well. You know.
I had good teachers. And what I loved about the fellas is that they did not tolerate big head.
That's right.
When you thought that you had a big head, you was better than anybody, they would bring you right down. And I'm telling you, and Blue Lovett could bring you down.
When Blue bring it down,
He could bring you all the way down, you know. he was just that type of person, you know. But he still loved you, and all the guys did, you know. And that's what I always carry with me, is that you know, we're doing this because we love it, but we have fans, and we want to make sure that we serve our fans and our public the way that we should.
That's beautiful. I know you had an example. Did you change your mind?
No, just that one time,
no, plenty of time.
Yeah.
we was in South Africa, and we was
Give us
doing
a
a,
good one.
we was doing an interview like here on stage, and I rushed up. You know, we was getting our seats, and I rushed up to get my seat, and I was checking the chairs, and I grabbed one chair and I checked it, and I went and sat down. Boom! And it fell right on the stage, and Blue walked past. Yeah, let him lay there. That's what you get for rushing.
That
So
brought
no,
you
they ain't go
all
for
the
no
way
big
down.
heads.
Yeah.
Literally brought you all the way down.
Yeah.
You know, I love this conversation, and I love that you're talking about your roots, and it speaks volumes to why you're so strong today. A lot of artists are a little bit seduced by the success of new artists and figure, you know what, maybe we need to switch up a little bit and be a little more like them or be a little bit more here. What keeps you in the same direction doing what you've been doing and true to that?
Well, like Gerald said, we had some great teachers. We had some excellent grooming skills, if you will.
Yeah.
And, you know, when you keep that big head out of the picture, it keeps you level-headed. It
Oh, yeah.
keeps
But
you
have
there.
you ever
Yeah.
been tempted to try something different?
Not really.
Okay.
You know, the reason I feel that we have maintained this is because, you know, you have a lot of artists that come out, first time they get a hit record, 4 or 5 platinum albums back to back. But we always were on a roller coaster. So we had a taste of the good and the not so good, you know, and we kept us humble enough that we knew that we had to keep working at this to make it happen. And as I said earlier, you know, without our fans, we are nothing. You know, without the radio DJs, you know, back in the days, if the DJ, the main DJ in whatever particular town you lived in, if they said this was the record, that was the record.
That's right.
You know, so we realized that we are servants. You know, we're servants. And you mentioned about gospel and R&B. My father taught me a long time ago, He said, long as you're doing what God asked you to do, and you bringing joy and happiness to your fans, you all right.
I love that. And also the trends, by not following the trends,
Right.
you have longevity, because people who keep skipping here, skipping there, you don't hear from them. You know, maybe a year
Exactly.
or two, they'll be getting the platinum records, but that's it.
Yeah.
They
You know, I always
disappear.
say there's a difference between a song and a tune. There's a whole lot of tunes out there.
Latitude.
And they're good as long as you're popping your finger and you're dancing.
Yeah.
But for this group, 57 years, it's best to do a song. A song touches people's hearts, and it'll last forever.
Yeah.
Well, that leads me to two questions.
Okay.
And don't be mad at me.
I might be, but let's just do it.
One being, you know, we've talked to, like we had Johnny Gill on a couple days ago, and we talked about, you know, his R&B life, and is he going to get into a gospel record or something of that nature. With you guys knowing R&B and knowing gospel, where else is it to go? I mean, do you think about where else to go at that point, since you've done both?
You
And then
know-
secondly, before they leave here, and we talk about a song and a tune, which I love what you just said, can you give us just a little snippet of a song before you leave?
So that's two things.
Yeah.
That's my two.
Okay.
Where are we going from here? Well, we realize a lot of our fans now are, and I say this with honor and pride, that a lot of our fans in church now. You know, back in the day when we were younger, we snapped our fingers. You know, we go to church, we believed in God, but we snapped our fingers on Friday and Saturday night. And, you know, and Sunday morning, you might get up and go to church, you know. But the bottom line is that our fans have grown with us, you know. So where we're going to continue to do what we're doing, but we're going to bring our music into today. But we're coming into the present time with music, which still songs of substance, songs that talk about life, that our fans and the younger fans can identify with.
Right? 57 years.
I didn't think he'd be able to answer that question, but of course, that's Gerald Austin.
Yes.
Can I just address something you said about us doing something different? Many years ago, I heard your dad introduce the Manhattans on the Soul Train stage as the classy Manhattans.
That's right.
So we may do little different things here and there, but within that parameter, we have to stay. So we always try to keep it classy.
Yeah.
Yes. That's how you do it. Now remember, Tony had two parts. There was a second part that, see, you pitch it and I'm. So do you want to sing a little something for us?
It's on you, buddy.
Do you want my microphone so you each can have one? I'm willing to share.
No, we need.
See, I love how they get together
I
and talk.
know.
So
Okay, we're
I
gonna-
just
we're
love
gonna
it.
get-
Something's
we're in a
coming.
One
Something's
second.
coming.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you need my mic? You just let me know. And I'll try to see if Tony will. They're practicing. Don't look.
Okay. We're gonna try this. We're gonna try this.
Here you go.
We just sing a little bit of piece of this. Georgia, Georgia, the whole day through, just an old sweet song keeps Georgia on my mind.
All right, thank you.
Oh my goodness. That is not Manhattan Transfer. Wow. Oh my goodness. You know what? This has been, it goes so fast.
Guys, when you're having a good time, it goes so fast. It really
Yes,
does.
but I mean, what if they just sing us out as we say goodbye? Y'all mind hitting that again? I'm spoiled now. Thank you so much for joining us. Did you guys enjoy that? Come on, show us a little bit more love. 57 years. The Manhattans on All Access.
One more thing.
Yes.
We do have a new CD that's going to be released in about a month or so, and we are debating on. We have two singles that we're choosing from, and It's rough, but
Put them both out.
we're going to release it and bring you some more good classic music.
When is the CD coming out?
The CD should be out in about, I would say, next month or so.
But there is one song out now. It's called "Get It Ready."
Get It Ready, yeah, that's the new single.
Man,
So get it
I'm
ready.
I'm upset with this guy in the middle. He's like, well, you know, how come my voice can't be that deep? You know, I really have to try to do that. When I do that.
And Tony, Angela, what we are doing, most of my guys, musicians and all, have been with me 30 years and up. Our bass player, 40, Jason, 42, 43 years. And this particular project that we're doing, I'm doing it with my keyboard player, Curtis Dukes. And we are including everybody. We're keeping it in-house. We want everybody to be a part of it. And so far, it's coming out great.
That's exciting. All right, keep checking iTunes, Amazon.com. Just Google
And
the Manhattans.
our website, Let's Just Kiss and Say Goodbye. You can hit us up on Facebook, the Manhattans featuring Gerald Alston, Instagram, same thing, and Twitter.
And your next show on the ship?
Is tomorrow at 3:30. Please come and enjoy
Where?
yourself.
All right, let's give it up, folks, for Manhattan
gonna
and
be?
It's
Gerald
going to be in the
Alston.
main. It's going to be. I'm sorry, Tony. It's going to be in the main room, main stage.
Wonderful, wonderful. Give them a round of applause, folks.
Bravo. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Yo, what's up, y'all? This is your favorite uncle. I'm Charlie Wilson, inviting you to hang out with me on the Soul Train Cruise.
The Hippest Trip at Sea is back and bigger than ever in 2021, celebrating another week of love, peace, and soul. Groove to over 50 live performances from R&B royalty, including Charlie Wilson, Patti LaBelle, The Whispers, After 7, Freddie Jackson, Russell Tompkins Jr. and the New Stylistics, The Barkays, Rolls Royce, The Original Lakeside, Tavares, Patty Austin, The Zap Band, The Dramatics, Steve Arrington, cruise host Tony Cornelius, and more surprises still to be added. Get up close and personal with these superstars at over 25 celebrity interactive events, including panel discussions, artist Q&As, game shows, and more. Departing from Fort Lauderdale January 17th, 2021, this 7-day voyage will sail on the sophisticated and luxurious Holland America Line Eurodam and hit the beautiful ports of Belize City, Cozumel, and Costa Maya. Enjoy fine dining, sun-soaked tropical destinations, non-stop Soul Train theme events, dancing till dawn, and more. Visit our sales reps on board and reserve your cabin now for a deposit of just $100 per person. Plus, receive our exclusive lowest onboard rates. The Soul Train Cruise sells out every year, so don't wait. Come celebrate the good life.
Don't miss the boat. Wishing you love, peace, and soul.